Just I'm just sitting on a Kintu right now. These are sacred kind of portal rocks. They're very high energy. Uh, they're everywhere. They're all over the place. In Cusco, like above the city, and they have these multiple layers, like one level, another level, and then like this higher world. And I had a funny thought today that maybe the you see this, maybe it's not sacred at all. Maybe it's actually just the rocks that they make the walls out of. These are kind of the same size. So maybe they somehow had the technology to, maybe they just chipped away, I don't know. Um, to get those big rocks for the walls, but no, I don't know. We see this is the problem. We don't really know. Nobody's really answered the question of what was happening, what kind of technology was being practiced or used here, you know? And I was thinking about it today on the Collectivo up here from Pisac, how everyone's on their phone, and including myself, and realizing how I don't feel good when I'm on my phone, you know? I use my phone here and there, but even recording a video, I have doubts whether or not this is really useful or has any purpose at all. Though, on the other hand, there's always a lightness to the darkness. There is also the possibility that we have a way of knowing things now that we didn't maybe a couple hundred years ago. But again, I don't know what kind of technology, maybe our minds, maybe our brains were turned on in a different way. Um, I don't really know. I don't know who knows. But the human being is more of a practice. It's more of a you can I think of it more as a um like a, like a phone, like anything. You can experiment with it and you can play with it. It's like anything, meaning once you understand its dynamics and its ranges and what it's capable of, you'll see like, wow, there's so much more possibility than I realized, you know? Like for example, you can play with this vehicle, this body, cannot eat food for a day and see how you feel. Experiment with it. And I think that's interesting, you know? You can move it around, you can work it really hard, you can stretch it. I need to stretch. Um, you can eat different kinds of foods to feel a different way. But there's no constant, in the sense that it's kind of up to you. Like to some degree, it's up to you, depending on how much you want to decide it. Because a lot of times it's culture. It's really just culture that's deciding what we do with our bodies. But what I think is more important is to find a way to kind of work with the hardware. First, you got to understand the hardware, right? And then you can play with what you put into it, right? Like, for example, if you put a certain kind of food in the body, that's software, okay? That's software information. Same with reading a book. You'll find you have different thoughts when you read books, you know. You'll have different perceptions when you meditate, when you sit with your body and you watch it. You'll have different perception of it. And that's why it's a technology. That's why it's something we're here to kind of explore. There's no rush to anything. You don't have to do it in a in 5 days, you know. It's a journey. You can enjoy it in that way. Once you get it straight, that the goal in some sense is goalless, and we're really just here to experience until the very end, really. And I'll say on that subject, I'm not talking that there aren't, again, I'm pointing out there's variables, there's principles, there's the hardware, because the body is made out of all of the elements that you see around you, like these rocks, like the air, like the water, like the laws of the earth or the universe, the electrons and the magnetic force of light collapsing into density. That is a tech. That's the framework that we are kind of identifying with. When you look into it, you won't find anything that is you. Um, so then, even deeper than this technology of the body is also, well, the technology of consciousness is pretty cool, but what is it that stays in and through it all is also worth a little note on the side of the journal, you know? So in that way, it's like, let's play with it. Let's find out what we can do with this body. You see people doing all kinds of wonderful things and living wonderful lives and terrible lives. It's not about um, having a great life or not, right? It's actually just about experience. And do you get lessons? Do you gain wisdom? Because you could have a really horribly difficult life, but gain so much wisdom. And you could have a very, very wonderful life and also gain so much wisdom. You know, there's definitely codes and joy in a joyful, simple, lovely life. Uh, but like you have to be careful, I think, because there's also the middle life where it's kind of just in between. It's a lot of normal. And I think those are difficult because people say I'm bored, and those lives are boring. But you have to find also some kind of a wisdom in even the boring life. Maybe you don't have a very extravagant life. Maybe you're not super poor and struggling, you know? Maybe you're right in the middle. You don't have to worry. The wisdom is right there as well. The tolerance is also necessary. The patience is necessary. All of these things, they are like, they're the tech, they're the technology, yeah, that we are learning to upgrade. Because if we don't upgrade it, it just, I don't know, you want to clean it out, clean it out. I feel that it's not like we're here to get rid of our personalities, our likes and dislikes. It's not like we're here to necessarily change our lives. We can. And then you could say, well, I love my life. That's important. I think that's wonderful. But again, not forever. It's never forever. You might get sick. Things out of your control will happen. I don't believe this idea that you can manifest the perfect life, you know? And that's actually backed up by reason because the existence that we are existing in, the existence of any one individual having their own experience, to say like I I am manifesting my dream life. To some degree, you can definitely program your mind. But that doesn't take into account necessarily what is beneath the layers of what you would maybe consider your conscious. And then even in your subconscious, you think you have some access to your subconscious. Oh boy. It's a deep hole. It goes very deep and there are some roots down there that are, oh, they're thick and rocky layers of the mind that are just very unlikely to be pulled out by some, you know, hypnosis. It's not going to work. You need deep, 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 um, diving equipment to go down there and pull stuff out. And again, that's why I think medicine work or vipassana, something that is actually strong enough to really shake your core and allow those roots to get shaken up and broken apart and uprooted. Negativities, the cravings and the aversions and stuff. And also just this this life, this neutral life. If you live a neutral life, this is also a sankhara. This is also a pitfall to try to remain neutral. It's not about remaining neutral, being emotionless, you know, because those things are just, they're always there. But it's ultimately about alleviating your own intuition. So opening you up to be able to hear your own heart. That's what really all these technologies are getting at, is you being able to open up your own heart and listen to your intuition and take steps towards it, and then feel that inspiration that is given by your yourself, your nature, yourself, God, whatever. So it's the more that we come closer to, I mean, it's not like you go anywhere. It's just that it's like you can't hear something, so you want to get closer to it, so you can hear it. It's like that's the way it is with your heart. You want to get close to your heart so that you can listen. If you don't listen to the heart and you try to do everything from the mind, what happens? You live a very sharp life. Yeah. You live a very stim life, which is not, again, I don't, there's nothing wrong with stimulation, but then when it's gone, how much do you crave for it to come back? So that these are the lessons, right? These are the wisdoms that we start to break free from. Um, not only, not only is it important to break free from our craving for things, but also it's important to do so because what happens is that's connected to breaking through your ego, your identity. It's very hard to realize this, but a lot of times we are in situations or with people or with ourselves in different dialogues with ourselves and relationships with others, not because we are really so wonderfully happy, but because it's a familiar synapse, it's a familiar pathway. We go like, I like this person because it's familiar, but you look in from the outside, maybe someone would say that person isn't helping you on your spiritual path. This person is kind of just circling around and like kind of not actually maybe not getting anywhere. Help that person instead of being their friend, be their teacher, say uh but we get into the regular circles of it and go thinking that that person is our friend, when really there's no such thing as a friend or an enemy. These things are just perceptions, right? These are just analysis. And and you might even say, if you look at any enemy, how have they really, if someone is for you or against you, they're equally dangerous. They're equally dangerous ultimately because you can form a dependence on the one who is for you in that motivation, and you could form a dependence on the one that is against you as a kind of pressure, as against someone to push against. So we have to remember that the war is within, the war is within my own self. The war is internal. It's about how much I'm relying on my own faculties by developing them, first of all, and then relying on my faculties, So, yeah, that's something to consider, is like say sovereignty. Sovereignty is super important, and we definitely come to a time where that's a bit gone. It's all there. It's always there. You know, it's not like your sovereignty is ever gone. That's unfortunately unfortunate. As you start to realize, like, I'm the one responsible for the walking of the path, my path. You know, I can't make someone else walk their path, but I certainly can help or hinder my own journey home. You know, and start to realize that, like, for example, you know, someone says to you, do something terrible. You say, I can't do that because it would hurt my ability to continue on the path. We don't want that. We don't want to, you don't ideally want to just do what people tell you because it accrues on you, like it doesn't accrue on them because they told you and you did it. Like everything you do, you're responsible for. I think that's why sovereignty is so important, and also just so lost is that a lot of people maybe aren't thinking about that. Like you can work a job for money and take care of you're taking care of your family, wonderful, but say it's a job that's like hurting people, like creating weapons and hurting people, being sold to countries and the countries using it. It's going to you, there's a little karma going to you. Not karma, but it's a little negativity. There's a volition in your mind that you can't genuinely have that love for all beings when once you find out at least what you're doing. Maybe there's a nescience and you don't think about it. Okay, sometimes there is a bliss there in ignorance, because in nescience, because you don't know it yet. But unfortunately, once you know it, this is when it does start to accrue, because it's not, in some funny sense, if the volition of the mind is pure and you hurt somebody, it's an accident. This doesn't, that doesn't affect, it's not affecting you, the same way. It's like you didn't want to hurt somebody. But when you're doing something knowingly that it's hurting people, even you think, I'm doing this because somebody told me that I have to, and I have to do this because it's my job and I've got to feed my family and myself even. The volition of the mind is still not super pure, because it's like, because it's egoic. It's very like identified with its own group. And that's just true. It's just truth. You can't really argue with it. It's just true. But the volition of the mind, if it was really pure, it would say, I can't harm others just so that I can help my family. I have to just find a way to do honest work to help my family. And it would be better for everyone anyway if we had less food on the table, but we didn't harm somebody or lots of people, right? So you start to realize, like, these truths, they cut. They're very cutting, because they don't go along with the way the ego wants it to be. The ego wants to be able to kind of do what it has to do no matter what, in order to protect and take care of its sect, its group. But ultimately, life is unanimous. It's everything. It's everyone. It's everywhere. So how can we be in service? You say service is the key, right? Service is the gateway and into your liberation. So how can you serve? One of the best ways to serve is to liberate yourself. One of the best ways to serve humanity is to emancipate yourself from suffering, so that when you walk into a room, you don't bring suffering. You bring happiness. You bring a peacefulness. You bring chill atmosphere. Chilling. No big deal. Like not trying to make a big thing everywhere. And if when you have to draw your sword, draw your sword. I'm not saying we don't fight. We don't take care of things. But I'm just saying we don't protect. Of course, protect. When there is harm being done, you stand up and you do something. It's also ego not to stand up. It's also bondage to not stand up for others, to not take care of others. Is another bondage of the ego. And see, the ego wants to perform on everything, but these qualities you've developed this life or the last or the next, the qualities you develop are really like the blossoming flowers that shine through the ego and allow you to really uplift humanity, including yourself. So when you can develop those qualities whenever you can, wherever you can, just by giving to others truly from a good heart. Yeah, if you can't give from a good heart, it's all about the volition. Don't need to make a show out of anything. It's all about the volition. If you have pure heart, feel like giving something, that is your intuition. Listen, give. You will always have enough when you come from that place. If you come from the place, try to give from a place of lack already, you'll always not have enough, right? Have to give from a place of I have enough. And money or things is irrelevant what it is, right? You don't know. One man's trash, another man's treasure. You might say, like, hate this shirt, don't need this shirt. I feel happy giving it away to this person. Makes them so happy. That's volition. That's good volition. It's not so complicated. It's not so hard, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. I just felt like sharing whatever came up on this rock, this Kintu. And I'm sure there's more, there's so much more I could say. It could probably go on forever, but I just wanted to share those little pieces of the puzzle. Kind of looks like a puzzle, doesn't it? Like it fits into something. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was like a landing pad or something. We don't know. Nobody. I haven't gotten a definitive answer what these are yet. But they do bring up the energy. Maybe it just simply does something with the static energy around. It's really wonderful out here. Cusco. It's above Cusco. I'll show you. It's really like this area it just has such a beautiful vibration. So yeah, Cusco's down there. It's just wonderful. Cave up there too.